Hello everybody, it's so good to see you again. I'm not 100%, but I'm better than I was. But bear with me. Today I'm going to talk about Kamala Harris. Looks like she's frontrunner at the moment, and they are claiming that she's a center-right Democrat. However, if you listen to her town hall meeting, you're going to say the opposite. It sounds so good. Oh, we don't have to deal with any more paperwork. Just go in and come out, and everybody's going to get health care. Well, at the same time, this woman wants, and all the Democrats want, and all the socialists want, and I must say, Kamala Harris is a socialist. Absolutely. All of her programs are socialist. Starting with healthcare, single payer. Open border, single payer. Open border where we know that there's a station in Panama and Costa Rica. They find fake passports all over the jungle. They bring these people in. They give them retinal scans and 3D pictures and take fingerprints. These people are coming in from all over the world. Sri Lanka, Africa, the Middle East, India, and Iran are some of the countries these people are coming in from. It takes an awful lot of money to bring them over to South America. And once they get there, they're let go in Nicaragua. We first get all this information from them. And America is paying these stations. We're paying for all the equipment because we know these people are going to end up on the southern border. They have to pay the mules, the drug mules, $40,000 to take them to the southern border. And most of these people already speak English. So they're going to be a shoo-in in this country. If you look on the Center for Immigration Studies, they've got all the information on this. In fact, this information comes from the Center for Immigration Studies. And they'll say, yes, I'm coming here to work. They're all coming in here to work, except most of them are on the dole. 73% of the dreamers are all on the dole. Half of them can't speak English at all whatsoever, and they can't even read or write in their own language. There's a small percentage that speaks okay English, and about 3% that speak good English. And the longer they're in this country, believe it or not, the more of them get on the dole. It grows. It isn't that they're in this country and they are comfortable, get used to the customs of this country, they learn the language a little bit better, and then they start coming off the dole. No, that actually doesn't happen. The other thing happens. More of them get on the dole. So you've got an open border. And you've got Kamala Harris's plan, which is the socialist plan of single payer. What's going to happen? There are 400 million people south of the border, and you've got people coming in from all over the world. It's endless. There aren't enough doctors. Doctors are leaving the profession because there isn't enough money in it. Obamacare has made them fill out more paperwork than they could ever dream of, and they're getting paid less and less. And to become a doctor, you have to have a certain IQ. You have to be good with people, with patients. And you have to do an internship for many years after you get through medical school. It's very expensive. Not everybody can be a doctor. What's going to happen? The same thing that happens in socialist countries. They're going to ration health care. They're going to ration it, so what they do is they'll give you a procedure, except they won't send out the tissue samples to see if you've got cancer. And there's a story of a woman who they've got socialist healthcare in Germany. She had a colonoscopy, and they cut some of the growths off, except they didn't send the growths in to see if they were cancerous or not. She came to this country, she got another colonoscopy. Guess what? She was full of cancer. And 2 months later, she was dead. This is what happens when they ration healthcare. And then they pick and choose who gets the care because they don't have enough doctors, they don't have enough equipment, they don't have enough hospital space, they don't have enough medication. There isn't enough of anything. If the idea is that you just go in and you line up and then you wait for hours to be seen, there aren't enough doctors, you might not be seen at all. Then you come back this is like Canada. This is what Canada does. And in Canada, if you actually want a blood test or health care, you just have to pay for it. It comes down to that. You have to pay for your health care. If you eliminate insurance companies, you're going to have to pay a lot of money. So that means who gets the health care? The 1%. Congress, when they learned about Obamacare, they were so sure that they weren't going to be on Obamacare. And then guess what? They were on Obamacare. And they went to Obama and they said, look, we don't want this. So they got a special deal. Congress is not on Obamacare. It's fully paid for. The people who make a lot of money will get the best health care. The middle class and poor, it will be rationed. And you've got an open border. And they do not want to build any more barriers. They just want to fix the existing barriers. So what have you got? You've got a socialist country. You've got Venezuela. You've got Cuba. What happens in all these countries? Well, the healthcare is rationed. People are on the floor of the hospitals. Instruments aren't cleaned. Newborn babies are on the floor of the hospitals. Fidel Castro, when he got sick, he went to France, and then he flew in doctors from France. He claimed he got on the airs. Cuba's got the best health care. Cuba, if you want to have health care in Cuba, during the daytime there's school, and then when the kids leave, the schoolroom turns into a doctor's office. It's the worst health care in the world. And Venezuela, every country that has socialism, Stalin, all he did was put them all on an island and gave them all a sack of flour. And so they had to mix the flour with the water on the island that was polluted. They all got dysentery, and then they ended up cannibalizing each other. He was very smart. He got rid of the sick, the elderly, the infirmed, anything that would weigh down the system. So when you have socialist health care, and this is the health care that Kamala Harris wants, this is in fact the health care that Obama wanted. He changed our health care, which was the best health care in the world, to Obamacare. And people paid more, and then they weren't able to afford the deductible because the deductible was quintupled. It just got higher and higher and higher, and so people could not pay the deductible. He moved us closer to single payer. And now people can't afford Obamacare. Thank God Trump let go the penalty. If you don't want to buy health care, you don't get that penalty, except in Massachusetts, where Massachusetts was the testing ground for Obamacare. It was called Romney Care. In Massachusetts, you pay the penalty if you don't have health care. So unfortunately, this is what you've got. This is what you're headed for. Everybody that comes over the border is another person on health care. Will be another person in line waiting for health care. You might not get any health care. Your health care will be rationed. They won't do all the tests. I know for myself, they're not doing all the tests that they're supposed to do. And I could have something, but they don't. They wait. Now they're waiting and waiting. And it's something that my mother died of. And they're waiting and waiting. And that's Obamacare. With this, you might not get any treatment at all whatsoever, because they're going to decide, depending on your age and your health, they're going to decide if you're going to get any care at all. And when you reach a certain age, you don't get any care at all, because they don't have enough. And with people pouring over the border with no wall, Kamala Harris does not want the wall. We don't have it, just one thing, health care. There are many things that we don't have, like we get water shortages during the summertime. Don't have enough water for the people. We won't have enough water for the people coming in over the border. We won't be able to grow the crops without the water. We won't have enough land. China is buying up all our farmland, by the way. The sewer, a simple thing like the sewer systems won't be able to take all the garbage, pollution, and all the plastics, and that we have to bury all our trash. Oh, and another thing, and I point to LA schools because there's about 46 different languages spoken in the LA school system alone. And the African American students, the students that are descended from slaves, we're not talking about people who are from Africa who just came over to this country. Those students, a lot of those students need extra help. And there's a lot. I knew when I was in school, I needed extra help myself. And so it doesn't depend on the color of the skin. So there's children who need extra help. Sometimes they need extra help because they are abused at home. They get beat up all the time in school and they can't concentrate. But the teachers can't do anything about it. They don't do anything about it. So the money that should go in educating these students who are American citizens go to interpreters. Every child needs an interpreter. You're weighing down the school system too. There's not enough teachers, there's not enough interpreters. And it costs a lot of money. Every person that comes over the border, it costs a lot of money. One of my videos, I think it's $165 billion. It costs the US taxpayer. And it may actually be more than that to pay for all the people who are undocumented that are coming over the border. It's a tremendous amount of money. But Kamala Harris wants that. Kamala Harris wants a society that is socialism. You are just a number. You're a drone. You're a cell in the state. You're no longer an individual person. The government decides everything. Government is in charge of everything. But it's like the DMV. And you're going to have the DMV taking care of every aspect of your life. She and AOC, we all know who that is, government to run everything, small businesses, everything. She's going to take everything, they are going to take everything away from everyone. They're all socialists. That's why I talk about this all the time. You have to wake up. Our country is being overrun by communism. Socialism is communism. And it came over in the 30s with FDR because he was fascinated with fascism, and fascism is a type of socialism. It is socialism, except it's like a brother or a cousin to socialism. But the New Deal was the first form of socialism. And that's when the sons and descendants of slaves moved from the Republican Party over to the Democratic Party because they were offering jobs. Basically, they were buying votes. And to pay for that, to get the Democrats to sign on to the New Deal, FDR had to promise that lynchings, which went on in the South until 1968, would not be outlawed. So to get his New Deal, to get these jobs, he allowed lynching in the South. It started back then, and then our teachers, the school system, it infiltrated the school system. It sounds like a utopia. And unfortunately, most schools, most teachers are Democrat and are mesmerized by this utopia that has never happened. It has never worked in any country that has adopted socialism. Socialism is a glamorous word for communism. And the second thing about Kamala Harris, which should have been the first thing. Now, a lot of people have gotten on Twitter with me, people who are high and moral, mighty people, who are Democrats, who don't mind the fact that Bubba Clinton signed in partial birth abortion, which means you can abort your child even if it's kicking, if it's right about to come out of the womb. That is a baby. That is a baby that can live outside the womb. Killing it when it's under the skin of the mother, because the mother doesn't want to carry the child. The mother just carried that child to term. So it isn't an issue of, I don't want to carry this baby in my body. Well, then you had plenty of time to abort that baby. And you had 5 days after unprotected sex to take, it's not an abortion pill. It's the day after pill. You take it, you will not be pregnant. Waiting to the last minute when you've already carried it, it's far more upsetting and physical demanding of the mother's body and emotion by aborting it when the baby is full term. You're not escaping anything, you're just killing a baby, okay? So that the Democrats pile on the judgment on Trump because he might have slept with a couple of hookers. Well, actually, they weren't hookers. They were adult film stars, which it was consensual. If it did happen, he denies it. And we all know this happens to famous people all the time. Women will say, well, You were alone with me. And if you don't give me a certain amount of money, I will tell everyone that you slept with me when your wife just had your baby. You don't want that to come out. That would just be awful to come out during the campaign, wouldn't it? You would totally lose. Oh, writing a check at that point is the simplest way to get rid of this person. These women are not women of high morals or high standing. They sell their bodies on film. I find it hard to believe them, anything that they say. But nonetheless, Democrats who've accepted partial birth abortion, where you can kill the baby when it's about to be born, and all the sexual dalliances of Bill Clinton, John F. Kennedy, Ted Kennedy. Oh, that's right, Chappaquiddick. Somehow he went off the bridge. He got out of the car. He told people that he went off the bridge and that Mary Jo Kopechne was in the water, and was told to call somebody to get her out of the water. She lived for several hours. He didn't do that. So technically, he killed her. So you're high and moral. The Kennedys, they're like gods in the Democratic Party, aren't they? And John F. Kennedy, the Kennedys spied on Martin Luther King and found out he also was having extramarital affairs. They had Hoover spy on him. So the Kennedys are really great people, but nonetheless, African Americans, people of high moral standing, and mostly Catholics, which Kamala Harris has something against Catholics, and so did Hillary when those emails were released, which is funny because Kamala Harris was badgering somebody recently for belonging to the Knights of Columbus. The Knights of Columbus who gather money for the Special Olympics. They sell Tootsie Roll drives, they do all sorts of things for handicapped children and raise an awful lot of money for them. Yet the Knights of Columbus, because of their wild beliefs in Catholicism, are a threat and wouldn't, if you are one, then you wouldn't judge fairly. I find that hard to believe. Most of my family belongs to the Knights of Columbus. And I'll tell you one thing about Catholics. 99% of Catholics vote Democrat. There is nothing for Kamala Harris to be afraid of because they love John F. Kennedy and they love Martin Luther King. John F. Kennedy was a Catholic, so therefore you got the Catholic vote. But Kamala Harris literally slept her way to the top. Willie Brown, married man. She slept with him and he got her 2 jobs, one after another. That's why she became a prosecutor. She slept with a married man for years. So Trump, who might not have slept with these women at all, he's a billionaire. He is a celebrity. And he was running for president. Very easy. He may have met these women. They came to see him. They always wanted to meet him. He talks to everyone. He's a celebrity. He doesn't judge people just because they sell their body to make pornos. And it's very easy for a man in that position to have someone extort money out of you And they should have gone to jail for that. And he should have sent them to jail. But he didn't. And there's no proof at all whatsoever that he slept with any of these women. Absolutely no proof. But there is proof, and there are witnesses. It's all over the net. Just type in Kamala Harris, slept her way to the top, or Willie Brown. You'll find it all over the net. It's the truth. If this woman gets to be president, and of course she's going to allow partial birth abortion, and if the baby is born alive, this isn't talked about much, but Barack Obama, when he was a state senator, the vote came up. If a child is born alive during a botched abortion, should you give it care until it dies, or should you try to save its life? Well, he voted to kill the child. That you don't even touch the child, you don't give it love until it dies. You just leave it to die. He voted for that. So we're on the precipice. And with that article in Slate, that if a woman decides after the baby's born that she didn't want the baby, she should be able to kill it. We're on the precipice of this. The baby is born. Why kill it? Just give it up for adoption. A lot of people want to adopt babies because they can't have them. There is no reason to kill that baby unless you have a desire in your heart to kill a baby. This is a baby, and the first thing that the Democrats say about the people coming over, they just want to protect their children. They love their children. They're bringing their children here out of love, dragging them thousands of miles out of love, and they die on the way here. Yet they say they care about these babies. God forbid one of these babies die that belong to these people who come over the border, bringing them. God forbid they die. But abortion and letting a child die if it's born alive, or possibly we're on the precipice of the mother decide after she has a baby and mentally a woman isn't, there's postnatal depression. Things happen in a woman's mind because of the hormones that go through her body. She's not in the position to make a decision at that point. And if she decides to kill the baby, that's irrational. You can just give it up. We'll write up the paperwork. We'll say that there was no baby born of you. No baby. Your name is off. The only thing we'll keep is the medical records, the medical history, but your name will be obliterated. No reason to kill this baby. The Democrat Party has sincerely lost its mind. They've completely lost their minds. And we have to retain the sanity of this nation. I don't know if it's drugs. I don't know if the mother took drugs at a certain point during the pregnancy and it's coming out and these children choose to be Democrat or Socialist, or their parents bought into the idea of socialism and brainwashed their children. I've seen it happen. I witnessed it happening to a mother doing that to her son. But we are in a crisis in this country. And Kamala Harris is a mistress. She slept her way to the top. Do not make this woman president. Do not. You must vote Trump back. He is the most sane thing that we've got. And he's done the most and fulfilled the most campaign promises than any president so far. We have a surplus of jobs. Minorities are working as they've never worked before. We are in a crisis. Democrats out there that are completely brainwashed. They're immovable. There's no way of getting the truth out, but there's a certain segment of the population that might be Democrat that are immovable, that know that this country is going off the cliff. And if America falls, I know people in Canada that tell me, we look to America. And if America falls, we've fallen. If the borders fall and the 400 million people come up north and people are coming through South America to get to America, there are 9 billion people in this world. There is no way we can pay, and our children and grandchildren will be paying for these people who stay on the dole, who the longer they're in this country, the more they're on the dole. Their percentage gets higher and higher. They do not if you come in and you can work under the table and get free money and then send it back to your country. We're a bunch of fools. We're being taken advantage of. We're a bunch of rugs. We're letting them walk all over us. As it was 2 years ago, it was $120 billion that these people send back home. The more people that are coming in, the more money leaves this country. And apparently, they're getting above and beyond the amount of money that they actually need to live while we are paying for it. And our healthcare system is going down the toilet. I'm going to end because I'm running out of space on my SD card. But nevertheless, you heard what you needed to hear. I repeat certain things because people don't watch all my videos. These are the important things that we need to remember to keep this country and to keep it from becoming socialist. Good night, everyone. God bless you, and God bless this country. And pray that we keep our president. He may be the last American president that we ever have. When he's gone, and Texas within 5 years will change to Democrat, we've lost our nation. So this is a very important episode. I'm very happy that you watched it till the end. Thank you, and good night.